All right. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Late Show. This is your host, Lord Hellespont V, your favorite pseudo intellectual, your favorite live streamer's favorite live streamer. Thank you, Wristwatchholic. Feel free to jump on if you have a little bit of time today. I know you have a very special watch, and we were talking about some interesting topics earlier in the Gentleman's Hangout with JJ and the crew. Um, the that eternal question. What would you choose? For a two-watch collection, and for me, that's damn near impossible. So I wanted to cheat and think about three watches. So we can talk a little bit about that. But one question that I didn't have time to respond to was what was on everyone's mind in terms of the next watch. And I have a few actually. I have to come clean first of all. Alex knows this. Wristwatchholic knows this in the chat. I did have something coming in, so I will have an official unboxing, full unboxing next week on the channel, probably on Tuesday, because Mondays in general are a little difficult to push through sometimes. So I wanna have something more perhaps serious, entirely topic oriented on Monday, and on Tuesday we can have a more freewheeling chat and a little bit of an unboxing, and that should be interesting. And I will have also hopefully a guest coming in for next week, sometime next week. The date has to be announced still, even though it is penciled in there as the vintage watch collecting topic. I might have to move it around a little bit. But thank you for being here tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about a couple of things. If Wristwatchholic is generous with his time, he might come up here and show us his new baby, share with us his unboxing of yet another addition to his collection. One thing I love about Alex is, of course, um, he insists that he's done after after he gets a new piece, and he always has a good justification too. As we all do as addicts, we always have a good way of reasoning away our little sins, our little wrongdoings. Big George says the watch YouTuber's favorite watch YouTube. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, Big George. That's very, very generous. Um, so yeah, I have a couple of things actually that I was thinking about. None of this is settled. Most immediately, since I had basically two directions to go with all the hate I've been getting with my wrist rolls. When I especially end up wearing something larger than 40. Um, one of the comments I always get, even when I'm just trying someone else's watch, is, that's too big for you. That just means, you stupid people would buy anything, because you have money, more money than sense. And a lot of the wrist rolls or wrist shots that I have as shorts on the channel, most of them are my watches, but sometimes I get to try on a few because the boutiques are very generous. And most of all, I get to try on a few different watches because I have very generous friends in the community who want to share their joy and their passion in certain pieces from their collection. So I had basically two ways to go. Either I was going to pony up and finally say, okay, I'm going to get one modern piece, and not just one, but the SD43. Finally decided that's just way too big for me. I just couldn't justify it. So I'm going to just go in the other direction and make a point of it. as you might know, Hajime Asaoka, who is one of the premier independent watchmakers in Japan, also has a more accessible uh, line of watches under the name Chrono Tokyo. More accessible in the sense they are more mass produced rather than bespoke and made to order. Um, and when I say mass produced, really, I use the term very generically because a lot of times they come in relatively limited production, right? For example, these uh, modern dress pieces that he is releasing for pre-order, he's making available for pre-order on Thursday in 34 millimeter. They're going to be, I think, 80 pieces for each color combination. So he has 4, which means you have basically 320 pieces. And these are mostly design oriented pieces, to be honest. So if you don't like the design, I'm not sure if there's a lot of horological value in them. But when it comes to the Chrono 34, which is the piece that is coming out on Thursday and is, I think, going to be on display starting Monday in Tokyo, um, those pieces are going to be somewhere around $1,000. And they have a Miyota movement in them. I think it's the Miyota 90 S5, which is just the, run of the mill automatic Miyota caliber that's that's 42 hours of power reserve, beats at the modern average of 28,800 semi oscillations per hour. Hacking seconds, if you care about something like that. It it is an it is a self-winding caliber, but can be hand wound as well. You can crank it up by hand. Um, so just as something that is a fun watch, that is a little bit colorful, uh, vintage in large part for its aesthetics and dimensions, vintage inspired, I should say, but also quite modern, I think, in the way that it is put together, and in that it is combined um, with these different leather straps, which have a very nice texture to them as well. Now that I think about it, um, yeah, they already have their exhibit put together. Um, and I thought he had some of his inspirations kind of put next to these watches, but maybe he removed them. Hmm. I don't know where it went, quite honestly. I thought he had brought up some vintage watches that were behind this as an inspiration. But no matter, you can kind of see some touches of sector dial dress watches. Certainly, the dimensions. The fact that it's 34 millimeter. So I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and since the 34 millimeter Rolexes, namely earlier generations of Air Kings and Oyster Perpetuals, have really increased into unreasonable sums by now. I'm gonna get something like this to play around with, um, and that is going to be released on Thursday. So chances are I'm gonna get either this one with the red hours ring, or maybe this one with red accents, but largely in teal blue against ivory. Although I'm not too fond um, of the leather strap that it comes with. Though I can also go with this because I think the color of the strap is quite neutral and sporty, and there's enough color on the dial that makes it both very wearable but also relatively subtle. Uh, all the hands and the index markers, the hands and the hour markers are all illuminated, all luminous in this watch. So it's quite fun. I love the syringe hands. I love the Arabic numerals, and just love the fact that it's a 34 millimeter watch. I think it's something different. It's something so different from everything else that is out there that might be worth checking out. The other thing that I'm seriously looking for in terms of upcoming purchases, and this is something that will probably happen, in short to midterm, possibly in 2023. I am prone to changing my mind, so no promises, but I do want to get the Black Bay 58 bronze. Again, I've been a huge fan of the Black Bay 58 line in particular, but of Tudor watches more broadly. And I just like this as a whole package. I think I like the experimentation with a different case material. I've come around to it. I used to be very skeptical when it came to the silver and bronze specifically. But yeah, two reasons. One, it comes with a full bracelet um, that has the T fit. I think that's very attractive. I've seen some videos and pictures of the new mint versions put next to ones that are a year old or even older, and actually, it just looks like it takes on a beautiful patina, not not in a way uh, that I expected, honestly, and also, of course, it really matters how you wear your watch and how you take care of it. As you might know, you can actually manipulate the patina. You can try to direct it in certain ways. You can use like special waxes to protect it against elements if that's what you wish. If you do want to keep this particular sheen or tint. And Bob says, "Good to see you on JJ's stream tonight. It was a good group. It was a pleasure, man. I just couldn't make it before, right? The timing wasn't right. So I'll try to participate as much as I can whenever I can. Um, I like those guys. They have never done anything but good things for me. So it is what it is. Messaging matters, man. Nice to see you." And Jake Brooks says the red may be the one to get when it comes to Hajime Asoka's pet project in Kurono, Tokyo, and the one with the red hours ring is actually his personal choice as well. And I think, yeah, it's really cool. I think that just as a whole package, I think that's the most attractive one. I just love that blue jean um, with the contrast stitching that they chose for the leather strap, which I think plays off beautifully from the ID plating of the hour, minute, and seconds hands. Um, and that shade of red is just a very cool touch. Love it. So yeah, if I were things proceed as I expect with the channel, especially because for me, um, the Black Bay 58 bronze would be a particular kind of project as well. I actually want to go to a local museum here. I've already been in touch with the curator there who takes care of the bronze statues there. And, we can have a little bit of an interview, talk about, how bronze ages, especially when it's exposed to the elements, especially when it's, when it's outside, when it's rained on, when someone sweats on it, whether that can be in any way directed, guided, even manipulated in certain directions. So it could be an interesting way of creating some exciting content for the channel for sure. So for that reason, I think this could be an interesting watch to get next year because again, it brings something different to the table. And for me, of course, as a vintage guy, I really do love the fact that this has the 369 dial out of all Black Bay 58s. I love the fact that the bronze brings in that Explorer dial, which is pretty rare when it comes to the vintage Submariners. There were a few different runs for the 4-digit subs that had those dials. They're extremely rare, of course, and rather unobtainable in the vintage market to anyone but the real high rollers. Um, but in either case, the Tudor Black Bay 58 in bronze might be the next best thing when it comes to that peculiar and very strong combination of really what are two iconic Rolex tool watches, right? The Submariner and the Explorer. And somehow in the Explorer with the 369 dial, you have them both in a way. Hey, Dirk, nice to see you, man. And the other two, and this is more like dream territory for me, is the Lange one, of course, and that is I would love to have this watch in white gold. But that's much more of a long-term project. To me, there's something quite stunning about Lange in white metal, because at the end of the day, it is just not something that's easily recognizable to anyone but the watch nerd, so to speak, and to have it in the white metal, in white gold, for example, adds to that sense of subtlety, of discretion. And of course, as an absolute grail, since we are just dreaming, of course, the datograph up and down. Again, I think in platinum, it's just in its own league, in quite another league. So that would be, those two would be amazing, but probably not incoming anytime soon. But that being said, I do have a very special unboxing next week, an unboxing of my own, and that should be interesting. I think that makes within my collection. I'll give you guys a small hint. Within my collection, it will really make an interesting three-piece sub collection that is both very pleasing and very exciting for me, but also pays an interesting tribute to someone I hold quite dear um, within the community. So I'll keep it under wraps for now. But this is the Datograph um, in its full glory. Yeah, I certainly need a chronograph like that. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say no to the 1815 Rattrapante in honey gold that I've also had the pleasure to show you guys yesterday in the extended Lange 1 bit that we had. But there's just something quite distinct about the datograph with the oversized dates at 12 o'clock, with the power reserve indicator at 6 o'clock. That makes it really special, even though, of course, I love this particular layout too, because again, it's a little bit, it does one of the things that Lange does really well, this watch, of course, beyond the fact that it's a split second chronograph, which is, of course, entirely Lange's bag, right? Um, but one thing that Lange does, and Lange 1 is their icon for that, right, is to produce some order in chaos, right? Give you some method in all the madness of that dial. And this is, again, a very interesting example of that, because the more common ways of situating the sub registers is, of course, you either have three, right, at 369, or in pilots chronographs or Flieger chronos, you have them at 6912. If you have two register chronograph, which is a very classical layout, of course, oftentimes you have them at 3 and 9, right? But more rarely you have this particular layout, which of course you would be familiar from IWC as well. So it's not entirely original. But one thing that Lange does really well is how they balance out the dial after the fact, right? You know, the way they did the rejo on this gives the dial some dimension, first and foremost. The way they used that circular script here for Alang und Söhne, and the way they actually spelled out Glashütte in Sachsen as well, just so there is some sense of visual balance in the entire dial. I think this is very masterfully done. Basil says, can't wait to check out the unboxing. Hey man, it'll be great. I think it will be Tuesday. Let's say it's Tuesday, right? And I think that's a good day for the unboxing. Corrado Galizia says, how do you think that would be to live with being so thick? Are we talking about the datograph? A datograph is actually not an impossibly thick watch, honestly. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just 13 millimeters. I'm sure some of you have lived before with watches thicker than that. It's not that bad. I mean, Reverso Grand Date, for example, on paper, I think it's like 12 and change. Let me see, just to make sure. I just want to make sure before I speak. Yeah, it's 12 millimeters. So it's just one more than that. And I think, in the past, I thought that could be possibly a little thick, but it turns out it really isn't. Um, to add one more millimeter to that, it wouldn't faze me, honestly. It really doesn't feel all that thick. For me, of course, if it were possible, I think if this watch were just a little smaller, I would probably feel more at ease, but I don't care. Honestly, it just looks perfect, if you ask me. And again, you always have to think of the um, larger proportions of the watch, and not just how it looks on social media and wrist shots and wrist rolls, because I think that's the kind of mentality, actually. I don't want to go on an entire rant on this, but that's the kind of mentality that we should all get away from, at least gradually, because at the end of the day, we get these watches, like you said, Corrado, to live with, not just to show off on social media. We wear them on our wrists and we walk around with them. We go through life. We go through our days and nights with them. And honestly, if you are not a small guy, if you're a big guy with thin wrists, and it happens when you are not overweight, um, it looks just fine, right? It's only when you zoom in and do a wrist roll, it feels like, oh, that's a little big on your wrist. And Corrado says it definitely appeared thicker in that clip. It's 13.1. And honestly, again, the thickness of that watch is purely due to the fact that they don't cut any corners, right? Since late 60s, right? Since the automatic chronograph movement has been invented, the manual chronograph, the hand-wound chronographs have been basically outmoded. They have been antiquated. Just like the mechanical watch itself is a luxury, is a statement, is something as a technology that has been already eclipsed many times over. That is also the fate of the manual chronograph. So when a high horology house like Patek Philippe or like A. Lange und Söhne executes a hand-wound chronograph, they do it to showcase their horological repertoire. They do it to show off and flex their horological muscles. So they use as many parts as possible so they can say, hey, this watch has umpteen number of parts and we have hand finished every single one of them. And when it comes to the Chronograph, the caliber has, let's double check. Yeah, it has 233 parts. The L952.1 caliber. So at the end of the day, that's what they are trying to showcase. And if you do, if you're set on getting a Lange chronograph and you think datograph is just too thick, I think the 1815 is about 11 and a half. So it's like more than a millimeter thinner than the datograph, because it doesn't have the oversized date and because it doesn't have the power reserve indicator. So you have two modules basically less from the caliber L 952 52.1, and you have at the end of the day a watch that's much slimmer. Let's see, just to make sure. And of course, it is a slightly different aesthetic, which you may or may not prefer, right? I do understand that, but yeah, you have in fact 2 millimeters down and a smaller case, right? It's both a smaller case compared to 41 of the Datograph, and more than 2 millimeters thinner as well. And again, it's not like, you know, the movement on this is shabby, right? It's the same caliber basically, just without the additional power reserve indicator and oversized date modules. And Mike David, welcome back to the channel, man. It's so nice to see you. And he says it's a fine line on size at the end of the day, that it is not a shrinking violet and should be seen. Absolutely. You know, it's I mean, Datograph is a statement piece, right? It's not a piece that you really get to be discreet. You know, in a way, I make this point over and over again. I feel like there's something, I don't know who advocated this so strongly. There's something in people's minds that insists on, oh, dress watches should be, you know, just hours and minutes and nothing else. You know, it should be the most uncluttered dial possible. And I do love that aesthetic, right? That's one of the reasons why my favorite piece ever in my collection will always be the 5513, the no date Submariner. Just 2 lines of writing. I think it's a beautiful piece. But of course, when it comes to the genre of dress watch as a whole, of course, there are watches that, you know, you might prefer for, say, a black tie event, where you do probably want something in precious metal, ultra thin, and just, you know, hours and minutes, maybe seconds on the subdial. I understand that. But as a dress piece that you just wear whenever you are put together, suited and booted, so to speak, of course, complications are just, you know, even preferable, right? Precisely because a simple, you know, hours, minutes, and seconds watch is in fact so elevated and so simple and sublime, right? So in a way, a hand-wound chronograph, or, you know, let's say a perpetual calendar or perpetual calendar chrono, those are in fact more versatile dress pieces, if that is at all in your wheelhouse. So those are the two Lange watches that is really in a dreamscape for me. I think getting a Lange one in midterm, you know, on the secondary market, especially as these price drops develop slowly but surely towards a genuine market crash, I think is realistic, and I would love to get one in white metal. Probably white gold is much more realistic than the platinum. But yeah, it's this is a great watch, and I think this could be actually a great one and done piece, so to speak, because it is the kind of dress watch that's quirky enough, that has enough character and enough presence on your wrist that you can certainly wear it for more than one occasion. Let me just take 1 second, guys. 1 second. All right, guys. Thank you for your patience. Bruce G. Hey, man. I know you have been pushing for it in a way, and I had promised you. It's not. It just hadn't happened yet because I just couldn't get the timing right. And today I was done. I was done with what I had to do during the day. I had a nice little walk, celebrated the National Ice Cream Day, gorging myself on some delicious stuff from Salt and Straw. Um, and yeah, speaking of Gentlemen's Hangout, speaking of JJ's stream, um, they have a beautiful commercial break with Mr. GMT and his kebab shop. So that's what I was thinking about. It's since I promised that this is an independent platform, orologically speaking, that there's never going to be any strings attached to the industry. There's never going to be a sponsorship from a gray market dealer. Um, that being said, if a kebab shop, falafel joint, I mean, even like some cheesesteak place, anything like that. If they want to sponsor me, I'm all ears. Ice cream parlor, anything. Those sponsorships I'll take in stride, and I'm happy to play their commercials around uh, around the hour. I think that's a wonderful idea, and Mr. GMT is of course a very very strong character. So I like his presence, I like his presentation, I like his delivery. So it just fits. And yeah, speaking of the Lange one, also as a kind of all rounder, it's nice that this recent generation um, of white gold has some loom on the hands and the dial as well. Hours, minutes, the indexes around the hours, as well as the power reserve indicator has some, you know, um, very sparse application of loom. I think that's not altogether inappropriate on the dial of a dress watch. And of course, again, the fact that this is a hand wound movement, the fact that it is that unique alloy of German silver that ages in its own way on the movement. This 3/4 plate that that is inspired, that is taken from uh, old school Saxonian pocket watch movements, and of course the freehand engraved swan neck regulator. It's quite beautiful. The gold chaton that the rubies are set into. It's just a beautiful beautiful movement, and it has a nice respectable 3-day power reserve. Very nice. And of course, I've really come to appreciate over time the oversize date that I'm very familiar with from my JLC um, Grand Date, JLC Reverso Grand Date. Wizard once was the first to create sponsors. I think he came up with the idea, yes. I don't doubt it. And bruh says, when are you coming back on Archie's stream? I don't think I was invited. I don't think I was invited back, bruh. So we'll see. The Zeitwerk would be my pick, nothing else like it. That's good reasoning. That's, by the way, that was Bondage and Discipline's reasoning as well for the Zeitwerk out of the Lange lineup. Because again, there's nothing like it. The digital display of time that basically mimics one-to-one, that's that historic 5-minute clock that adorns the stage in the Dresden Opera House, and that was actually initially built by the ancestors of this brand. One Johann Friedrich Gutkes and his apprentice F.A. Lange. You know, of course, that was a 5-minute clock, and that has Roman numerals to indicate hours. But this, yeah, this watch is just, you know, jumping hour, of course, you know, jumping minutes. And in this date version, it's a jumping date as well. That's a very, very special watch. And it has this steampunk kind of aesthetic, the retro-futuristic aesthetic that I just really appreciate. There's nothing like it. I think that's the best way to put it. But even in the simple version of it, it's just a very, very handsome watch. Whether you know, you look at it in the pink gold or in white, there's nothing like it, for sure. Bra says, I can't get used to the oversized date. It takes all the attention. I think that's kind of the point, bro. That is kind of the point. It's their signature. So wherever you see it, you immediately make that connection. And that's the funny thing, you know, it's basically a module they inherited in the 90s at the time of their revival from Gégé Lecoutre. That oversized date module actually came with the Gégé Lecoutre gear trains that they used as the base of their movements for 3 of the 4 first watches they introduced in 1994. And somehow it stuck with Lange to such an extent that everyone else basically had to discontinue it, more or less, right? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there's a reason why Vacheron Constantin doesn't do oversized date anymore. There's a reason why Gégé Lecoutre doesn't really do oversized date anymore. There's a reason why, you know, Breguet used to do it quite often in the Marine series, actually, in the Marine watches. They stopped doing it as well. It's just, it has become the most distinctive element of Lange's design language. And it's, yeah, I can understand it. You know, you don't like it, you don't like it, right? And it's going to get to you. But otherwise, it's meant to take a lot of attention because that's what the brand's signature is. And it takes after, again, that 5-minute clock they built for the Dresden Opera House. Well, their ancestors did, at least. And I want to, you know, I'm going to drop the link because I did an entire video on that particular inspiration for their design language. So it might be worth a watch later. George Varghese says, good evening. Lovely to see you, man. Not wanting to change the subject. Always change the subject, George. Don't worry about it. This is a channel that is only, that is at the behest of its audience, right? This is your platform. You send me your requests during the show, before the show, via emails, on Instagram, and I cater to them. I cater to you first and foremost. So that's what I'm here for. So you take the wheel whenever you like. Your opinion on Parmigiani Chrono Tonda GT. It's both an annual calendar and chrono stainless steel for 21. I actually, I'm a fan of Parmigiani Perrier, and I think that's one of the best deals. And honestly, I'm sure that some authorized dealers are now trying to push Parmigiani Fleurier, and it might be also a good time to counter what they're pushing. So if you really like one of these watches, ask them, like, if you really want to sell me this watch, are you going to give me a nice discount? Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's this is a very specific niche. It's not the kind of watch that everyone wants. I mean, I love it, but it's really not everyone's in everyone's wheelhouse. I mean, let's take the one actually in the Panda configuration and in steel with the full bracelet. Although I actually love the burgundy Panda, so to speak, on matching rubber. And Palwi, thank you so much for dropping by and reminding everyone to upvote. I love you too. And I'm glad you love me in a different way than you love REG, though I love REG as well, and not in the way you do. Dirk Joe Money, he says, just took an at-home COVID test, best watch to wear while awaiting the results. I wear something with a timing bezel, just so you can have something to fidget around with. Wear something with a rotational bezel, ideally bidirectional. So this is a beautiful dial. It has that ever so desirable Panda configuration. It's a beautiful chronograph. Look at those modernist rectangular pushers, a lovely bracelet. If you like it, it's a 42, right? And it has that sort of integrated look, right? It's not really an integrated bracelet watch, but it does have that look. So it does wear big. That could be one thing that might hold me back. But George, I don't know what your preference is, but this is not only an automatic chronograph, but also an annual calendar, because you have the oversized date here, speaking of which, you have the month here. And it's just, to me, it's aesthetically very pleasing. I also love the coin edge bezel. And I like the fact that the bezel itself has different layers, right? One that's high polish and then the other fluted. So it's quite beautiful. And this particular piece, which has a water resistance of 10 bars, And look at that movement. I mean, it's beautifully decorated again for that price range too, certainly. And look, I mean, Corrado, we were just talking about the thickness of the datograph, right? This watch is both thicker and larger than a datograph. Um, so sometimes people get the wrong idea by just looking at numbers and visuals without necessarily getting the chance to try the watches on. But I think this is an incredible watch and a great deal that, you know, in time people might kick themselves for missing it, right? If you can especially get it from an authorized dealer with a nice discount, um, or maybe in the secondary market for cheaper, this is very cool. And it has the advantage also, you know, if you like that uh, oyster flex look on the Daytonas, for example, that's something Rolex reserves for precious metal. You have a couple of different options in the Parmigiani line where you have them on rubber, where you have the steel version in rubber, and they're right around $20,000. So these are, I think, one of the gems, really, still waiting to be discovered. And I say this with the full knowledge that um, the Chapek is, for example, already discovered, right? That's over and done with. Um, Hard to get close to one anytime soon. But yeah, this is just a very cool look. I also love the GMT they did. Um, and honestly, the dial is so beautiful. I can even get behind the skeletonized hands that I usually don't like. And this is just great because you have this pusher that helps you cycle through with the jumping hour hands, and you have that rattrapante function, which allows you kind of a way back home, right? You know, since you're keeping home time and travel time for a dual time watch, and when you're back home, they just come together if you press that rose gold pusher. And I think in these models, this high polish bezel is actually in platinum, which, you know, it is what it is. This is right over 25K, so a little bit different in terms of the price point from 20,000, but also has this beautiful micro rotor movement, which, you know, I think might justify that jump a little bit. Um, Paul, lovely watch in black sub dials. Yeah, so you do like the Panda configuration, and that's the old school. That's the you can get that with on a full bracelet or on the rubber band, and it's an automatic chrono and an annual calendar. Beautiful dial, lovely finishing on the case, nice contrast between different levels, um, beautiful pushers. Yeah, and it's a true annual calendar, so you only need to adjust it once a year, you know, between February and March. So it's a fantastic piece. Exhibition case back in both, both that GMT / dual time watch and this chronograph annual calendar. Yeah, I like the Tonda PF line altogether, honestly, not just the chronographs. In fact, probably the chronographs are the ones I like the least, to be fair. I just like the simplicity of this particular dial. I think it's quirky enough. Pepperoni on parm. Yeah, it's you'll never you'll never get away from that. Yeah, you'll never get away from that joke. At least JB, in this model that you like, at least they have not written it out. They have not spelled it out on the dial, right? It's just PF, so you don't have to account for it unless you actually have to talk about the brand with someone who probably would notice it on your wrist if they actually know to begin with. So, and of course, this simple time only versions are also smaller. These are 40 millimeter and much less thick as well, less than 11. So 10.7 millimeter thick. So much more discreet, much more sleek than the chronograph. The one with just the dates, I think, is even slimmer. Pardon me. And it has also more respectable water resistance too. So Pawi says, I think it's been said, but the dial on that one is a bit basic, and the bezel reminds me of the Oris Big Crown Pro Pilot X. I think not only has it been said, I think it's been said by you. I think the dial is far from basic. I think it deserves a look in person. It's actually a beautiful dial, but I get the point. I get the point that there is a resemblance with the Pro Pilot X, which, by the way, I think it's a nice watch, Pro Pilot X. Would I pay the almost $5,000 they ask for it? I shouldn't be unfair. They're more like asking 4,500, right? When all is said and done, probably not. There are a few things that already irritate me about the design of the watch, from the white background of the dates, which I wish wasn't there to begin with. But there's also a lot that I like about the watch. I think, except for the clasp, which they don't show in an interesting fashion on the webpage. Except for the clasp, I think it's a nice bracelet. The dial colors are a little too predictable. Of course, there's a blue. Of course, there's some version of pink / salmon, but I think it's actually best in this monochromatic look for me. Just my personal opinion. And yeah, that knurling on the bezel, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, and this is more angular than the straight coin edge on Parmigiano Fleurier. But I completely agree. I mean, it's the similarity is there, so I'm not gonna defend it endlessly. But hey, this watch is truly on another level compared to that, and as it should be, right? It's 4 or 5 times more expensive. As you know, Parmigiani's movements are produced by the manufacturer Vaucher in Fleurier, that also produces the in-house movements for Hermès, as well as Beauvais, the high horology, very exclusive watchmaker, Beauvais 1822, that is celebrating its 200-year anniversary. But yeah, Mike David, look, I mean, of course, it's nothing to do with Oris, but the visual similarity, I'm not going to deny it. I think it's an unfair comparison, but there is there. And Joe Money says, COVID results negative. I credit the success to my Orient Mako too. Yeah, look, I mean, as I said it, it's you need something to fidget with when you're waiting for these things. Victory doesn't have to break the bank. Enjoy it, man. I'm glad. I'm glad it was negative. Even though people aren't really going through it after all these stages and variants and vaccines. But yeah, it must not feel good to have it. I never had it actually. Um, I never tested positive for it. I never felt sick with it, with the symptoms. So, to my knowledge, I never had it, and I don't feel left out, honestly. I'm very happy about that. So, good call on the negative. I'm glad it's all good, Joe Money. So, guys, we have just finished our first hour. Hit the like button. It's free and it helps a great deal. If you have enjoyed the stream so far, if you have learned something from it, please do. At the end of the day, subscribe if you haven't. I'm here with Watch Talk every day. And if you can also spread the word, if you can share the link with others, so I get to expand this community that is built on knowledge of and passion for wristwatches, I would really appreciate it. Share the link on other platforms, talk about the channel on other channels. It all really helps. And if you bring one more person onto the platform, if you tell one friend, for a channel of this size, it makes all the difference. So that's the best way you can help the channel. That being said, of course, if you do want to contribute in other ways, if you do want to help keep this channel autonomous, completely independent, and self-sustaining, there are already a few ways that you can contribute. This channel is, as I said, at the behest of its audience. I run the entire platform with your interventions, with your interjections, answering your questions, choosing topics each and every day so we can keep something fresh, but also always remain focused on Watch Talk. But it's at the service of the audience, right? And not anyone else. I don't have any masters. I'm not at the behest of the industry and their interests. I'm not at the behest of gray market sellers. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't take money from them. I don't do any deals with them. So I'm completely independent. And in the same way, this is a channel that doesn't really take part in all the conspiracies and games that are played behind the scenes. It's just focused on watches and watches only. So if you want to contribute to the channel, if you want to add to it in more than just liking the stream, which helps a lot, and sharing the link, which helps even more, you can also contribute on PayPal at lordhellespontv@gmail.com, lordhellespontv@gmail.com. That's the best way you can reach me as well. That's my primary point of contact. If you want personalized content, that's the easiest way. I also have Cash App, $LHVVV, $LHVVV. And I've recently instituted a Patreon account so I can increase the quality and quantity of content on this platform. If I get enough contributions per month, I'll be able to add 2 additional live streams per week earlier in the day, so I can actually reach more directly the audiences based in the UK, in continental Europe, and even some people on the East Coast, because for a lot of them, this show is either too late or too early. And we have a very important guest. All right. IG Wristwatch Holic. Subscribe to his Instagram channel, guys. I'm going to drop the link. Alex, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Lovely to see you. You have something to share with us, I think.
Yeah, it's corner inside the corner. It's my weekly unboxing.
All right. All right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we like seeing your collection grow, even though you keep telling me at least that you're done.
Yeah, I'm just here give you a little break and just do a little unboxing for the fun, for the audience.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you guys ready?
Ta-da! Ooh, David SW, David SW, David SW. All right.
Their packaging is pretty nice. Yeah, I like it. Look at this.
Guys, I might not be sponsored by them, but apparently Alex really likes them, so let's go.
And they give me the small gift. What's inside? Let me see.
Right. So that's so nice that you have to say it thrice. David SW, David SW, David SW. Let's see what's in the box. Another box.
It's a box inside the box. Okay, it's a watch
Inside the
case.
box. That's the third one. Okay. Let's see. What is this? Ooh.
Just travel case.
Wait,
And a cleaner.
where's the watch?
Yeah. I don't know.
There's
Where's
no
the
watch
watch? Huh. Interesting. Oh, here we go. There's another box. I mean, travel pouch.
That's also nice. Lovely shade of red.
Omega.
Omega. Omega. All right. All right. Nice. What's in that box? Where's the
Let's
watch?
see.
Ooh. Is it in there? Oh, nice.
It's a Speedy Master CK2998 Panda dial.
Nice. And as you know, guys, this is a watch that Alex has been pining for a while. And he talked about it on this stream specifically. He brought it up a couple of times.
Yeah, this is limited edition released in the Budget World in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It's called CK2998. They released 2,998 pieces, which are already sold out. And in the secondary market, the market price is pretty high. It's between 9 to 10K, I think, still.
And Alex got it for much cheaper than that, I think, right?
Way cheaper because I bought it naked, no paper, no box.
Right. Alex, do you think I'm a bad influence? Because now you're buying watches, naked, no box and papers. What's next? Are you gonna buy a vintage watch or something?
I'm not really into the vintage watch at this time, but this particular model I was looking for and hunting for many years, like 3 years, and the price difference between full set and this naked one is like more than 4,000 difference.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a choice. I gotta pick it up. I had to buy it.
So Hoff on Smash says very nice. Congrats, Alex.
Thank you,
Jubilee
Hope.
says very nice. Full on John is in love with the watch. Magic says nice watch. MLMJ nice. Paulwy says it's gorgeous. Okay, well you're gone. Yes, I mean, good morning, and the sky is blue. Thank you, Josef Salas, for your contribution. The watch is amazing. I mean, I love the dimensions are great. The fact that it's a pulsometer rather than a tachometer, that's a little bit
Right.
of a difference
So let's
compared
just
to
talk
other.
about the watch spec a little bit. So this is the diameter is 39.5 millimeter, which
Mhm.
is way little bit smaller than regular Speedmaster Professional. So this one has the same dimension as the FOIS, First Omega in Space.
Nice.
So 39.5 millimeter for the case diameter. Thickness is 14 millimeter. But when you put on the wrist, actually it doesn't look thicker.
Let's see it. Let's see a little bit of wrist action, please.
And as you guys know, can assume it has the 1861 movement,
Hmm.
which is pretty reliable.
And
Inside,
Jimmy
in
is
a
loving
layer of
the
a strap.
Jimmy is loving the red accents. He said, cracking
Yeah,
watch, look at that red seconds hand.
look at the detail. They use the tachymeter second for the red hand. They put the beautiful red inlining in the leather strap.
Hmm. And it's perforated, that
Yeah,
racing strap
like a
feel.
racing style.
Beautiful.
Only issue with this watch, the strap is pretty small. Look at this. The buckle should be in the center of my wrist. So I guess the previous owner has like a tiny wrist, like less than 6 inch,
Like
or
like my wrist. Kind of like
or
my wrist, maybe.
yeah, or owner was female. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty.
Well, I mean, I might as well be at this point, but go on.
Yeah, so I ordered new straps, so it's gonna be delivered soon, hopefully.
Mm. Yeah, man. This is a beautiful piece. Wear it in good health, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really sit comfortably on my wrist compared to the Speedmaster Professional, so which I had only performance and sold it. But this one we are very comfortable, very good size, and very nice aesthetic and looking, panda style.
Mm-hmm.
And dial is pretty clean. Yeah, they didn't put all the letter like a Speedmaster Professional, blah blah blah. Simply they just put the Omega and Speedmaster in red letters.
And I actually like these hands too, Alex.
Yeah, that's the point of this watch, right?
The alpha hands, right?
Yeah, Alpha hand, and even logo is applied logo
Mm-hmm.
for Omega logo. Yeah, pretty nice.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
the actually bezel is ceramic. It's not aluminum for this model.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
they use the ceramic bezel.
Nice. And I know
And
that's a watch you have been chasing for a while, and getting a good deal on something that you have been waiting for. Patience pays off.
yep. And it has the very rare pulsometer. So it's a 30 pulsation, which means basically you start the tachymeter. You count 30 pulses when you check your patient. At the point of 30 pulses, you stop your tachymeter.
Mm.
Then actually on your pulsometer, you will see the number. You say like 130. That means patient heart rate is 130. So you don't need to, usually when you practice, when you check the patient heart rate, you have to measure it and listen to it for 4 minutes because you want to check what's the heart rate per minute. But if you use the pulsometer, you just stop when you count 30 and pulsometer will show how much is the pulse per minute supposed to be. Yeah, so you can save
Right.
time.
It's a doctor's watch. It's the
Yes.
Doctor Speedmaster.
Mm-hmm. Which I can actually use it in my clinic, which is pretty good.
Amazing. Yeah, love it. Love it. And I hadn't seen the travel case, so that's a cool one. And of course the strap is a little bit of a mystery, but guys, people can order these watches with shorter straps. So I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, so this is a travel case, and also when you send your Omega watch to the service, they used to give this one, I think until 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And from this year, I think they changed the pouch. When your watch come back from service center, they give something different case, but they used to give this one before. Yeah, I have another one.
And
you want it? If you want it, I can give it to you one. I have two of them.
I don't have any Omegas to put them in, so
Oh,
I will have to get one.
yeah.
The Jimmy says, "Fike the Paul Newman. This is nice."
I mean, it's a personal preference, but I really like this one. As good as Daytona. And the price is only fraction of a Panda Daytona, right?
Oh, of course. Seriously. Yeah. Man, wear it in good health. I think this is a very nice style. It looks great on that strap, but this is the kind of watch that you can play around with. It's I think it would look great on a dark brown strap, or like a black crocodile, anything, another kind of racing strap, maybe, with bigger perforations, bigger holes, anything. And you like the red accents, of course, so that's always an option.
Yeah, and Speedmaster is known as a strap monster. You can put like a 10 color brown leather strap, pinch style strap. Yeah, you can put any strap. It's gonna be okay with it.
Look, Alex, Jimmy is complaining about the same thing. Just looked at the Omega spec sheet for the model. Why, oh, why do they do a 19 millimeter lug width? Fikers. Other than that, it's a beauty.
I know they couldn't make it in 20, right? I complained the same thing to Rod earlier.
It's a strap Godzilla.
Actually, I have a very similar watch, reverse Panda. So one is legendary Speedmaster with a manual winding. The other one is legendary LP manual. First integrated automatic movement inside.
That's a good two-piece combo meal deal. And that's what I was going to ask you, actually. I mean, I'm not sure if that's what you would go with. But JJ and the crew had that thought experiment. If you had a 2-watch collection of your collection today, if you had to just pick 2, which 2 watches would they be?
For first one, yeah, I'm gonna pick the Speedmaster CK2998. I actually can use it in my work. It's fitting very well on my wrist. It's legendary Speedmaster, and I really love the aesthetic.
Yeah.
And second one should be, overseas dual time.
Nice.
It's a very versatile watch. You can put on the bracelet, leather strap, rubber strap.
Very cool,
It has
man.
a beautiful blue dial with a travel time watch. Yeah.
You have a lot of your bases covered between the 2 of those, for sure.
Yeah, those 2 could be my first top 2 picks. But if I can choose number 3, maybe I can add a Rolex, maybe. Yeah.
That's
Diver watch with a beautiful sunburst dial with a 2-tone, a hint of a little bit gold.
Yeah, and Alex likes gold, guys. He just can't keep away from it. And Jimmy says, "Fight me dead." Alex hangs around with some nice watches, and Jimmy adores that Vacheron Constantin.
So, what you gonna choose if you have to pick up the only 2 watch in your collection room? What's your choice?
For me, it's the No Date Sub 5513 and the Reverso Grande. I think that gives me the most versatility and most joy, most emotion out of what I have currently. It has to be those 2. Yeah, because you have in 5513 you have an iconic sports watch, uncluttered dial, simple, beautiful, elegant. Wear it on the oyster bracelet for the classic look. I know some people resist it, but put it on a leather strap, and that basically all black aesthetic actually makes it a very versatile watch. So you can wear it for almost any occasion. And the Reverso Grande is just, it has a very interesting dial. It's a gimmicky watch. It's the kind of watch that attracts a lot of attention from non-watch people as well, like in a good way. Oh, hope all is all right. So yeah, I like Reverso Grande too, because of that. It's beautiful inside out. It has a great movement in it. The 8-day power reserve, hand wound. So I get that combination too. One true blood sports watch with an automatic movement. Welcome back. Who is that speaking?
Oh, it's your set. It's for my TV.
I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you have an automatic sports watch and you have a hand wound dress watch. And it's not a very discreet dress watch either. Reverso has a lot of presence, and especially that Reverso. It's a nice chunk of steel on the wrist as well. It goes with a lot of different straps too, so that's great. The dial has a lot of intrigue. The movement itself is very beautiful on the back. Very nice architecture. The double spring barrel. I think that's a good 2-piece. I could easily live with that.
Sure.
Yeah. if I had to add a third one, I think I would probably go with a chronograph.
Do you have any chronograph in your mind? I know you don't have any chronograph in your current collection.
No, not in my current
Not
collection.
yet. I mean,
But dream, I mean, if I were allowed to dream, it would be the Lange Datograph.
1815. Oh, terrible.
Yeah, go big or don't go at all, right? If you're going with Lange, get the thickest, chunkiest, oversized dates, power reserve indicator, everything but the kitchen sink. Platinum, why not? We are dreaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 1815 is very elegant as well. I can certainly see the appeal of that as well. I mean, they just have so many great chronographs, man. The split second that I just got to try on, that's a beautiful one too. But you know how much they cost. You can, if we weren't in Southern California, you could probably buy a nice house with how much a Lange chronograph costs. No.
Yeah, that's probably the down payment of your small house. Yeah,
Right.
single family.
In Southern California, yes, it's just the down payment. But
if you go somewhere like a mid state, yeah, you can actually buy a house over the money.
right, we can be neighbors with Rancher instead of buying Lange chronograph. Yeah, I'm not planning to go move to Oklahoma anytime soon. Not that there's anything wrong with the beautiful state, but I just don't have any connections there. That would be my problem. So what's next, Alex? What's next? I know you have something on your mind. It's impossible that you stop right here.
Let me think. I think I have a pretty balanced collection at this time. Let me show you. So right now I have two chronographs, which is one is automatic, one is manual winding, two dress watch, one is made of solid gold, the other one is complication with steel case. And I have two GMT travel time watches, which is Tudor Black Bay Pro and Vacheron Overseas Dual Time. And I have two divers, No Days Up and Bluesy, which is two-tone. And plus one on the wrist, Explorer 1. Yeah, so actually I want to get rid of one of watch. I think I have too many.
Which one would that be, if you were to get rid of one of those?
Probably Zenith, El Primero.
Okay.
Or Explorer 1.
You don't sell Rolex.
Yeah, but Explorer 1 is like a replaceable. You can buy anytime, easily.
Okay. Yeah, I can't militate against that. I mean, I know your Zenith is a limited edition of some sort, so it's not something that you come across every day. What was the occasion of that limited edition? What is it about?
So it's called the Zenith El Primero Reviver. I mean, Chronomaster Reviver Liberty. So
it's an American.
They only release exclusively in North America for 150 piece limited edition, which includes Canada and USA. Yeah.
I see. All right, it's about that chronograph seconds hand, I think, mostly. Is that right? And the dial and the blue dial.
Yeah. So the dial is consists of blue, white, and red, which is American flag color, right?
Right,
I don't
that
know
makes sense.
how Canadian think about this watch.
Well, Canadian is the second sand, I think, right? Is the
Oh,
chronograph seconds with the
you're right. Yeah.
red and white. Back to the swinging 60s.
Oh, maybe yeah. That's why they put the yellow and I mean the white and red on the small second.
I
They
mean,
could just make it red, right? It could have been more appear, I think.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, of course, you can say that it kind of, stars and stripes, like Zenith already has the star in its logo, and this is a striped second sand. But yeah, I guess you can kind of appease the Canadian customer by saying, hey, that's a nod towards your flag as well.
Yeah, so I assume maybe they distribute like 100 piece in USA and maybe 50 piece in in Canada,
Mhm.
maybe. Their market is smaller than us.
Yeah, Magic loves your collection. Um, it's a
Thank you,
nice.
Magic. Yeah,
So if you were to, you are trying to get rid of one, which is either this Zenith or your Explorer, and
correct.
and that's it. You're done after that. You're not getting anything instead.
If I getting anything, yeah, I have to get rid of another one. But let me think about it. I have two Submariner, which is one is no date, one is
Mhm.
date, one is steel, and other one is a two-tone. And I don't think there is a better diver watch rather than Submariner. I was thinking about Blancpain 50 pattern,
Mhm.
but it's kind of too big. 45 millimeter is too big for my wrist. And I don't like the batiscap. Yeah, it's kind of ugly.
I know you had some choice words about the nipple dial, so
Yeah.
I didn't know how to respond to that. Um, yeah, look, I mean, again, it has to be a very conscious choice. The Blancpain 50 Fathoms is a big watch, and is a big watch for most people, really, not just for us, Alex. I think it's 45 millimeter on paper. It's huge.
Hmm.
Um, and that's minimally, if even if you say, hey, I can pull it off, it does limit the occasions that you can wear it in. I mean, it's not really an everyday watch that you would wear to the office unless you're a big guy.
Yeah, so this one is really beautiful. This is the original, design from
Hmm.
1970s. I also watched the documentary earlier about the Blancpain.
Hmm.
So they released the 50 pattern first, and it was too big for usually, for obviously for normal people. That's why they released the batiscap
Yeah.
for the public, yeah, and for non-diver people.
Yeah, bathyscaphe has its own lineage, really. I mean, it's not something they just came up with, in the last 10, 15 years. But I do understand, it is it's a different design. I mean, it's really, it doesn't even feel like it belongs to the same line. It's also a great
Right.
diver watch, but it doesn't, yeah, it gives me a different aesthetic than 50 Fathoms, because what's really distinctive about this is the sapphire bezel, is that luminosity, is that sense that this is, larger than life. When you, like you said, when you watch the documentaries, when you read the history, you learn why this watch was designed in this particular way in the first place, why it's so big, why does it have
But,
these,
mhm,
yeah, loom all over the watch, because it was the first modern dive watch. Sorry, I cut
correct.
you off, Alex.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this is technically better than some Mariner, and I think in design wise and spec wise, for aesthetic
Mhm.
wise, yeah. But it's kind of hard to swallow the price, $15,000 price tag.
Yeah, in the I mean, you can always hunt deals like you do in the secondary market, of course, but you're right. When you look at the price tag at retail, it is a hard pill to swallow.
And the funny thing of Blancpain, they make the perfect 40 millimeter 50 pattern only for limited edition.
That's true.
Right? They have like a two version of holding key edition for 50 patterns in 40 millimeter size. Yeah. Which is one of them is mil spec and another one is no ready.
Hmm. I think they still have it on the web page,
Yeah,
I feel.
they're still on the website, but it's already sold out.
I think this is it, right? The Ocean Commitment, is that what it is?
No. Go down.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, there. It's there. No, it's not there. Oh, is it? Is it no? Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of them, at least. I mean, I think
I
there's
think so.
more than one edition, like you said.
Yeah, this one is beautiful. 40 millimeter, perfect size. The price is even cheaper than regular production one.
Mm.
And they also have a no day one, or they have the one another version with the date on the 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah, that one is no date.
Quite cool. And that moisture indicator, that's the mil spec feature of the watch that the quartermasters would check upon return, so they would know if there is if the waterproofness of the watch was compromised or not. So
what happens if the water is leaking inside? It turns into the full orange color?
yes,
Oh,
apparently.
okay.
I don't know if that's still the case in the modern iterations. I don't know if it's now simply decorative. But yeah, this is how it is. How it used to be, I should say. Yeah, again, I think even in 40, this is a nice watch. I mean, it doesn't really wear. I mean, it wears pretty nice. It's very present. It's a good diver watch.
And their power reserve is, I think, 120 hours for most of Blancpain. Yeah.
I think so. This
Which
is
is
the
5
smaller
days
ones
power
are
reserve.
100 hours, but the
Okay.
run of the mill, the automatic
100 hours.
classic, that's 120, I think, because that the 45 millimeter has a different caliber, so that should be 120.
Yeah, I think that one has a double batters. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's caliber 1315. That has 120. And it's actually a beautiful piece. It's exhibited here without the rotor, so don't mistake it for a hand wound caliber, but it's quite
Yeah,
nice.
Blancpain has a horrible website. Yeah, I don't know. You cannot actually see the watch, right? They just post the one picture from the front.
Yeah, you have to go to another page to look at the caliber, and it's yeah, and there it shows without without the rotor. So you might get the idea, if you don't actually know what you're looking at, that is this a hand wound caliber? It really isn't. It's just exhibited here without the rotor. But yeah, that's a beautiful caliber in it as well, and decently finished. I mean, it's not nothing to sneeze at. And yeah, I think both in classic black or in this blue, this is a very handsome watch.
Only if the size was smaller. I mean, I can handle the 42 millimeter maybe.
Mhm.
45 is really
No,
huge
doesn't
for
work.
most of the people, I think. Yeah. So yeah,
And
if they release the new 50 fathom with the 40 millimeter, then maybe I think about it. Get rid of my no day sub and just get the brown pan with a discount. Yeah.
and you were not too hot in these new releases either, right? You know, the ones with the complete calendar and moon phase.
I mean, the Batiscap is already ugly and they put more complication on the diet. Who is gonna buy those stuff, to be honest, right?
I mean, in
And
titanium, it's an interesting deal, I have to admit. Like if you look at this one, right, even the list price is this. You have triple dates, right? AKA complete calendar. You have a very nice sports watch with its own provenance, with its own legacy in the Bathyscaphe, in the 50 Fathoms family. And you get the moon phase, which I actually enjoy, when they're anthropomorphic like this, when they actually have a human face.
yeah, I like
Um,
it. I think they call it as happy face.
right. Um,
But if you want the complication from blank pain, you should go for their dress correction, which is beard art, which is
yeah,
more
I wanted to
traditional.
pull that
Yeah.
up because I know you were looking at a few pieces from that collection as well.
Actually, when they brought the brown pan back, this was the first model they released before Batiscap and 50 Fathoms. They started with this dress watch, triple candle liner first.
Hmm. I like it. I like it. I hadn't paid attention to that quirky little date indicator before, to be honest. It it rubs me off the wrong way now, but that's a very minor inconvenience. Otherwise, I think the aesthetic of the watch is beautiful.
Yeah, I like the combination and contrast between the rose gold and blue dial. And
Absolutely.
for their date, actually it's like a step dial. So
Hmm.
if you check it out in person, it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Also,
you can.
this new model, they don't have a pusher in the case on the side.
Mm,
They have the pusher under the rock,
okay.
so you don't need to use the tool pusher like usually traditional triple calendar or perpetual calendar. They have like a small hole on the side of the case, but
Yeah.
this one has like a hidden like a pusher under the rock, each rock. So they have
Wow.
like a. So that's why I don't like about the Brown Pan website. They don't know. They don't show it. It's
Yeah.
a really beautiful, yeah, unique function, but they don't show it on the website.
Yeah. I mean, why would you, right? Maybe it will help you sell a watch or two. You wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, that's what their unique like function. They have a license of it, so I, their website even doesn't show it up. So weird.
Let's see if I find one of these third-party websites that show.
I think this is old one, old
This
generation.
is the old.
Yeah,
So it's
38
something
millimeter,
new.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, it's
the
something new. They came
new.
up with.
Oh, this one has it. Yeah, so it has a small pusher under the rock. Can you put it up? Yeah, you can see it. Do you see the small button? Yeah, it's there.
Wait.
Let's go. Yeah, over there. Go back to the
Mhm.
picture. Yeah, that's the pusher. So without tool, you can just push it up.
Ah.
So each rock has the pusher. So they have a total four pushers. So they
Mhm.
can we can change the date, day, month, and moon phase. They have
Mhm.
four pusher on the four rocks, which is very unique.
Nice, nice, man.
And there is no holes in the side of the case, so it can maintain the good, beautiful aesthetic and mirror polishing of the case.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's one of those things that makes you say, why didn't anyone do it like this before? Why don't they all do it like this?
Because Blackpan has the license, so no
Yeah,
one can actually use the technique. Yeah.
but it makes a lot of sense. Look at that. Yeah, 1, 2, 3,
3, 4, 4.
4.
Yeah, day, date, month, and moon calendar.
Moon phase. Yeah, that's right. Moon
Yeah,
phase. Mm,
and look at the beautiful 22K gold rotor with the guilloche engine turned.
ah, it's beautiful. It's a nice piece.
And one of those complete calendar, it comes with like a Hunterback case.
Oh yeah.
On the website, it it doesn't even show it, so nobody know actually the watch is existing. Their website is so bad.
It does say, at least it says
Yeah,
specificities under lug correctors. If you
yeah.
understand what that means
But
without
yeah,
doing.
who is gonna know about it, right? What's the under the correctness?
Yeah. Wow. If you go to the manual, maybe it says there. Yeah, in the PDF it shows. Look, I mean, but that's just expecting too much from.
Yeah, especially if you are first watch buyer, who is gonna read it, right?
Yeah, look at this.
So complicated.
Yep.
If you check the important message, it say you cannot change the moon phase between certain times
Mm-hmm.
on the right. Yeah, that's the important.
Yeah,
There is one
cool.
text on the right side over the manual.
Nice. Yeah, guys, sometimes it helps to read the movement. I read the manual, I should say.
Let's see. Yeah, you cannot change the moon phase between 5 and 7:30 p.m. And you
Mm.
cannot change the date and day between 8 to 12:30. It's gonna damage the movement.
Yeah, it's. I mean, look, we talked about this a little bit, but I think when it comes to how Swatch Group is configured, I think between Blancpain and Breguet, one of them is really surplus to the requirements. That it's just it doesn't sound right to me that Swatch Group would get to hold these two long-standing, distinguished horological houses. They should really give up one of them. No?
You mean between Breguet and Prangpang?
Yeah, don't you think it's a little doubling up, for Swatch Group? Don't you think they're a little too similar?
Yeah, but if you think about the Richmond case, they have Lange and Pacheron also in the same league, right?
Yeah. 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 And right, you can say again, I guess when it comes to Breguet, even though it has been located in Switzerland now for such a long time, it has that French background. So in a way, it's an insider outsider to the Swiss industry, much like Lange is. Even though it is in Germany, Lange has extended connections to IWC and Jaeger-LeCoultre and a lot of others. You're right. I mean, that's the other thing, right? The Richemont has Jaeger-LeCoultre, Vacheron Constantin, and Arangonzone. Though all of these brands have very different production numbers when it comes to Richemont, right? Lange has at most 6,000 watches a year. Vacheron has about 45,000. And I
No,
think,
Vacheron make way less. They make only 15 to 20.
you sure? I
Yeah.
think it's much more.
Much less. I think it's 20.
Okay. But anyway, so let's say it's 20. I think Jaeger-LeCoultre is like 100,000 or something. I don't know what the numbers are when it comes to Blancpain and Breguet.
Is it Blancpain is like a handmade, like Lange and Vacheron, or they are like a manufacturers, like Omega or Rolex?
It says they make less than 10,000 watches, which I don't believe, probably closer to 20, 22. And
So do they do the like hand assembly and hand finishing, like a high horologe watch company, like
Yeah,
Patek or Vacheron?
Breguet is around that same number as well. Breguet makes 18,000, 20,000. So yeah, so I don't know. It just sounds like it's a little too similar to me. Of course, for us dive watch people, sports watch people in general, you have a very iconic piece by Blancpain that we identify it with. But the revival of the company by Jean-Claude Biver was very much based on that 1775 brand, right? The oldest established watchmaker in history, even though it had interruptions, unlike Vacheron Constantin, which was established later, but what was never interrupted in its production. So the complications were really important to Jean-Claude Biver's vision of reviving Blancpain, and somehow, I don't know, I really feel it's doubling up, but that's probably my nitpicking. You're right. There are other luxury groups that own more than one elite horological house, so it's not just Swatch.
Mm.
Yeah, honestly, I like the hands, those leaf hands, and the fact that they are actually emptied out. No, 1735. Sorry, what am I talking about? Yeah, you see. Yeah, the moon phase is beautiful. Like you said, pink gold against blue dial is a nice aesthetic as well.
Yeah, so when you compare this complete calendar to the JJ Raku, the master control complete calendar, I prefer this one more than JRC complete calendar for aesthetic wise. So.
Let's check that out. They had some annual anniversary, I should say, model, which is this one in steel with the blue dial. Yeah, I mean this watch has a sportier feel, between the Arabic numerals, um, the shade of the blue, of course, the fact that it's in steel, even the strap that comes with it, I mean, makes this watch look a lot more dressed down, honestly, compared to compared to the Viré that we were looking at, the Blancpain we were looking at. And I kind of like the, jumping dates indicator here that is supposed to make sure that the moon phase is not blocked or interrupted. It's a cool little thing they added to the new generation. But there are great deals, if you like this watch and, you don't necessarily, you are not invested in that jumping date indicator between 15 and 16. The black dials, especially on the secondary market, they offer great deals and they're also more legible. I think the blue one is a nightmare to read when it comes to this watch.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I check out both watch in person. And this mass control, it has a silver indices on the blue background, so it was very hard to read it. It was not really readable.
yeah, and we are not even getting started about the day, month and date. The date is very small on the face of the watch, actually. This is even worse than the earlier generation, because earlier generation, actually, it's let me show you some examples from Chrono 24. Let's see if we can find a black dial with the... No, we can't, but we can pull up one of the... Okay, that's just my memory tricking me. So the date was just as unreadable on these because it's just small. But on the black dial version, at least you could read the time. I'm sure this would be a nightmare too, silver against silver with the hands.
Yeah, besides readability, I just don't like the face. I think dial and face is everything about the watch.
Yeah.
That's the side on you always looking at. Yeah, I don't think it's very attractive. It's not as good as the brown one, I think. It's kind of too bold. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in black too, it's not as exciting. I can see that. It's already on the secondary market, as you can see here.
I think this one is supposed to be limited edition, right?
Yeah.
500 piece or...
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about the green dial Polaris dates,
That's already in the secondary market.
well, it was online exclusive, right? And
Yeah.
they just started it, and for like 2 months before they realized they were embarrassing themselves, for 2 months they kept sending these emails like, you still have the chance to get and you could get kind of a tone of desperation, these are really not moving, man.
Maybe no, only few people actually bought it. Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
it was only for a couple months. Beginning was the online exclusive, and after that it's available in the boutique, boutique only, but not available in the AD. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the green dial is already available in ADs.
No, it's only boutique exclusive. After first month of online exclusivity, then they move to the boutique exclusively. But they're not gonna release it in the AD.
Yeah, it hasn't fallen into the...
No, they not. They say it's a boutique exclusive only after online, yeah, purchase. But who knows? They might they might not able to move it fast. They
I
might
mean, if they
need.
can't move it, they're gonna eventually make it available. They wanna sell watches, I guess. They're not gonna destroy them, are they?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's the only diver watch I possibly purchase in the future if they make it right in the right size.
About a 50 fathoms around 40 millimeter again.
Yes, they should. They should make it right in the future.
Possibly. I mean, you have been checking on the secondary market. Are there good deals on those limited editions, or are they really scarce? You don't see them in the secondary market.
I see a few of them. They are usually expensive. I mean, not too expensive. Usually around 20K. So like maybe 5 grand over retail.
So I'm gonna
But
start
I
a
don't want to
poll.
pay premium for plantain.
I see. I'm gonna start a
Uh,
poll saying should Blancpain produce a 40 millimeter 50 fathoms in regular production?
for their Air Command, I think the first one came out was limited edition, and they make the same size for regular production. And after that, they release the smaller size.
All right.
You know, I have to answer some call.
Okay, of course. All right, guys. So we asked you, should Blancpain introduce a 40 millimeter 50 fathoms in regular production? And my point is, again, I don't think it would hurt. Of course, the bathyscaphe was introduced in the first place for commercial production, for people who would wear this watch on a daily basis rather than in the professional context of diving. So you might make the argument that that is the 40 millimeter edition, but it can't hurt, as they have done once every so often with limited editions, with their collaborations. They have put out their 40 millimeter versions of the 50 fathoms, and pardon me, they were generally quite popular. And why not? But let us know what you think. Vote in the poll. Write in the chat what you think. I think it wouldn't hurt. Again, for me, I don't really mind that it's such a big watch. I think it is what it is. It's what it was designed for. Um, the the fact that at the time when um, Jean-Jacques Fichter was making the first modern dive watch, he knew the market, right? It was all these coin-sized pieces that just were completely illegible underwater. So he had to make a statement, and he had to produce something that was completely different from those little dress watches that weren't really waterproof, that weren't really luminous, and that were just way too small to offer any sort of legibility or utility underwater. So that's why you have in 50 Fathoms something that's larger than life. But hey, it's in commercial production now. It's become an icon. So why not offer something that's consistently there in a smaller size as well? Are you back, Alex, or did I mishear you?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
Okay.
So are we
Yeah.
still talking about Blancpain, or
Yeah,
we
the
move on?
40 millimeter 50 fathoms.
Yeah, so we'll see if it's gonna happen or not. I think many people have been waiting for the 40 millimeter 50 fathoms. Yeah.
It's
I hope
interesting.
so.
Like, I think I have a lot of purists in the audience because it's 50-50. You know, some people have said no. Well, in fact, 4 people have said no, 4 people have said yes. So, and I like it. I like a healthy disagreement.
Yeah, maybe some people who say no, they think maybe Blancpain should stay where it is with like a bigger size of 45 millimeter.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my diver collection. And how about GMT? I have 2 GMT travel watches, which is Dual Time and Tudor Black Bay Pro. So I don't think I'm gonna ever swap it or sell for my Dual Time. But it's a very special watch. I picked up on my birthday last year.
It's
And
very
it's a
nice.
beautiful watch. Yeah. So
And it came with a very stylish
so
belt
bad.
with
Yeah,
the
which I never sized it.
matching buckle.
Mhm. And second, my travel time watch is Black Bay Tudor GMT Pro and Black Bay Tudor Pro. It's pretty nice, very utilitarian style and vintage look.
I love
If
that.
for personally, I prefer this watch more than Explorer 2, which is 42 millimeter. Because I have a small wrist and I never like the watch. But I don't know if I get offer for GMT Pepsi, maybe should I flip it?
I don't know. Here's me
Because
trying one.
to be honest, nobody need a 3 GMT watches, right?
Not really. I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan of the Pepsi in the new generation. So, yeah, I'm not gonna say much. I would prefer this to a Pepsi GMT Master, but when it comes to the general worth of it as assessed by the market, of course, you would have a hard time turning down a GMT Master 2 that's offered to you by a dealer, right, at retail.
Yeah, but I don't need it though, right?
You really don't. You really
And
don't.
I actually have a better watch than Pepsi or Rolex GMT, which is like overseas Dual Time.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
And if I have to travel somewhere like not safe country or safe area, then I may not want something like under the radar, like a Tudor Black Bay Pro, not the Rolex Pepsi, right?
That's right. Did you? I don't know if you caught up that discussion, Alex, but El Profesor was telling us that the Greek president basically got an entire collection of Tudor watches as he moved up the political ranks because he wanted something that he could still enjoy, a luxury watch, really, but something that would be more discreet relative to what he had until then, which was Rolex and Audemars Piguet. So he now has like a 5-piece Tudor collection, especially Pelagos heavy. He has like one with the black dial, one with the blue, and this is him wearing that.
Oh,
that
that guy is
Pelagos.
pretty young. He's a very young guy. He's the new minister in the Greece.
President. I think he has been
President.
the president now for a few years, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, look at that. It's a beautiful piece.
It is. So what happened to his AP and Rolex? He can do everything, or give it
He's
to his family member.
he's safe queening them. Maybe Maybe
Pretty sporting for me.
maybe he will sell it on an auction or something after he retires.
Maybe. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think I need another GM to watch. Yeah, terrific enough. And next section, I have two dress watch. And I think this is the dress watch section is something I can move around, which I didn't settle down yet.
Yeah, GB Vol says, for what it's worth, the number of people filing for unemployment is up for 4 weeks in a row. Guys, El Profesor has been pretty persistent on this, if you remember. He kept saying that the unemployment numbers are going to rise in the same way that inflation is rising. And when both of these compound, high inflation rates and unemployment numbers, it is, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how to react to it, but certainly don't believe people when they simply tell you that it's a minor correction in the market. I think we can afford to sit this one out for the most part, in the sense that, we don't really need to be buying watches, but hey, there are some good deals around, and Alex was lucky enough to pick up a few. I picked up a new piece that I'm gonna unbox next week, and it's really cool for me because it's a different kind of piece that I don't have in my collection, and it also creates an interesting 3-piece sub collection in my collection that pays a little bit of a tribute. This is another thing that I wanted to share earlier. I was telling you about the rationing of gas and electricity for the summer in Germany, and apparently there was a huge uproar in New York City about 4 days ago that people trashed an entire establishment because they charged $1.75 for a dipping sauce. So people are having a hard time, man. It's not going to be pretty. That's for sure.
Yeah, but actually, this is actually a good time to pick up some watches. There will be less demand. So if you are financially stable, why not, right? You can pick up the nice pieces in the cheaper price in the secondary market.
That's true. I mean, again, as long as you know that the price is right for you, it might be an interesting time to pick up some watches. But then again, we haven't seen the bottom just yet. There's the knife can go down so much deeper, with everything that implies, which means the prices can fall down, but quickly enough, wristwatches might become least of our worries as well. So yeah, interesting times. Yeah, Alex is always on the hunt for the next deal, man. I can convince you, even showing inflation and talking about unemployment, it doesn't phase Alex.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect on me. And if the area, the area where I'm working, it doesn't matter how inflation bad is. I'm working in the medical field. People still getting sick and they have to come to see the doctors, right?
That's true. I mean, You are driving a car, though. That must affect you a little bit. The gas prices, right?
Yeah, but gas
No,
price is actually going down though, right?
but finally, after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it doesn't really affect much. How much I spend on the gas? Not much.
Those fries are looking really good now, by the way, so I should probably remove it.
As the McDonald's price has been increased with inflation, can you feel it? The price of burger and fries went up last 2 years. Or it's about
Everything,
same.
everything. I mean, look, for me, I eat copious amounts of peanut butter, especially in the morning for breakfast. So I used to get them at the beginning of the pandemic, from Whole Foods, the organic, crunchy version. You know, crunchy or creamy. This is a big battle, as you know. Where do you side on that, on peanut butter? Do you eat peanut butter? Yes or no?
Yeah, I do.
Crunchy or
So
creamy?
creamy.
Alex, man, we have been good friends. It's this is not going well. Anyway, so I'm pretty militant about crunchy. I used to get them for 3.29 at the beginning of the pandemic, and
And how
now
much is
they're
it now?
4.39.
Okay.
I used to get their own brand of sparkling water for 125 or 129. Last time I checked, if it was available at all, it was 179, possibly
Mm.
more now. Um, and GB Vol says something interesting, because that's the thing. When people lose their insurance, this was one lesson of the housing crisis in '08. People die, and because they can't go to the doctor in this country. They aren't going to the doctor if they lose their jobs and insurance.
No,
So
they can still come. If you are low income, if you don't have a job, they can apply for Medicare or Medicaid. They still can get the minimum health care. Yeah. Government will pay for them. Our tax will pay for them, basically. Yeah.
well, I mean, I think that's one legitimate reason that taxes are for. By the way, the poll is in a dead heat, 50-50. So let's end that, and I will start peanut butter poll, creamy or crunchy. So should Blancpain introduce a 40 millimeter 50 fathoms? 50% says no, 50% says yes. Interesting. So I'm actually kind of proud of my audience, Alex. It's like a purist audience.
Yep. Anyway, so I'm not looking for any particular sports watch at this time, but maybe I'm interested in getting the new dress watch next time.
Mm, so that's why you looked at the Blancpain complete calendar.
Yes, the beautiful blue dial complete calendar. But everybody trying to stop me, so I gave up. I'm gonna lose a lot of money on this pain.
Yeah, it's blank pain. It's for nothing.
So if the market keep going down, I might want to pick up the Lange. That's what
Ooh,
I'm.
which one? Which language are we talking about?
I like the Lange Saxonia Moonface.
Right, let's pull it up. That has the oversized date as well, right?
Yes, at the 12 o'clock. So I have handled the watch in the Lange boutique. I really like the push at 11 o'clock to change the date.
Hmm.
It's really crispy and
Right.
it makes the click sound when you change the date. It's very enjoyable to play with it. Yeah, I love it.
Imad Attia says, Blancpain 50 fathoms at 45 millimeter is a classic. No need to mess with perfection. I actually agree. That's why I voted no with my troll account, Imad. So thank you for reasserting that point. And Turtle Knight says it's called blank pain because your bank account get hit. Bank pain, sorry, because your bank account get hit hard. That's true.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, with the chronographs too, in addition to the date adjuster, it's just it's such a crisp, nice feeling, Lange really gets it right when it comes to those little
So my
details.
overseas gear time has a similar like a day change pusher at 5 o'clock. It doesn't give me the same feeling of a sensation, and it doesn't make any click sound when I change the date. So Lange make it so different level and experience for the users.
And that's a nice little rotor too, don't you think? Nice movement.
And they also have like an outside date version, right? With a moon phase, which is a little bit smaller, I think, 38 millimeter. But I prefer this one better because their moon phase is really beautiful.
Yeah, I think also it's the latest execution of the moon phase, right? So it serves as a day and night indicator as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look, they have made it clear on this. Look, this is the night. It's a darker shade of blue, and then in the morning it's a lighter shade of blue. If I'm not mistaken.
So you're saying the moon is not moving, but background is moving itself?
Both are moving. It's a dual disk. I know for a fact that this is the case with the Lange 1 moon phase. So let me show you. It's a lot more clear on those in the pictures. Do you see that? So this is what they used for the morning. And then the starry midnight blue is what they use
So nighttime, the background change from blue to star sky?
Yes, because it's two disks superimposed on each other.
So they have the disk of the moon and disk of the background?
That's right.
Wow, didn't know that.
So I hope that's the case in the Saxonia as well. But if
maybe
it
not.
Is, I don't know.
It's too much detail for 35K watch.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see what Herr Schmidt is saying about this. Is he going to show anything here? I'm not gonna play the sound, but yeah, I think it is. That looks like a much lighter shade.
Yeah, just check the maybe description if it's a day-night indicator or not.
Let me see. I don't even know if it says it in that way.
For the other model.
Yeah, let's double check and see. It just says moon phase display. And let's see if I look at the Lange 1 Mondphase. That's yeah, that actually says it. You're right. Day-night indicator, power reserve indicator.
Yeah, I don't think the Saxonia has the same function. It's too much detail for their entry model.
SV Tank says, "Love a beautiful moon phase, gorgeous." Yeah, it's that. I mean, that was also, I think, introduced sometime, probably like, I want to say 18, 2018. So it wasn't always like that. Like so, earlier references of the Lange 1 moon phase just have a precise moon phase, which is a cool enough complication if you like that aesthetic, especially. But the day and night indicator was something they added on top of it as an additional module, so it's pretty recent.
Thank you for letting me know. It's mind blowing. Yeah, I never know. They have night and day indicator in the moon phase.
They have a lot of cool little shit like that, Alex. That blows my mind too. Like the time zone watch, for example, they have, right? I don't know if you ever looked at it. I think for some people might just say, "Hey, it's too busy, whatever." But there are a few interesting details there that, again, are very mind blowing. So, first of all, the two time zones have their day and night indicators, like this, the floating discs here, and then you have, this is what points to the world time, right? The city that you're cycling through, which again is navigated with a pusher here. It also has this daylight savings time corrector. So for cities that apply that, it appears here when it's daylight savings time. It's a cool little detail. I've never seen anything like it on another world time watch.
What's the blue circle under the hour hand and minute hand? Is it day and
That
night indicator?
Yeah, that's the day and night indicator for
Uh-huh.
both time zones,
I
you know,
see.
home and travel time. And of course,
It's too complicated.
yeah, there's too much going on. I understand that, but I
Yeah,
mean, you know,
Tiger
again,
is too busy.
and in a way, it also doesn't have the beautifying elements that the Patek World Time has, for example, like a beautiful guilloche on the dial or like a world map. This is much more function oriented. This is much more utilitarian in a way. But I find it still beautiful in its own way. But I understand when people say this is just a busy dial. Yeah, they have a cool little lineup, I have to say. Oops. Yeah. If only these pieces were actually available, the Odysseus, the stainless steel especially. I know a friend of the channel just received his delivery for steel, which he could only apply for after buying a piece. And these days they let you apply for the white gold one if you get a piece from them, but otherwise it's inaccessible. Yeah, the stainless steel, they don't even take orders from the average people like us. I mean, much like what the Vacheron Constantin does at this point, right? With the overseas line.
Yep.
After they have delivered to distinguished customers like Wristwatchholic.
No, I was looking up. But when I purchased dual time, I mean when I pre-ordered it, it was trading in the below retail at the time. So it was the right before the high, you know.
Yeah, GB Vol, just tell me which watch you were asking for, how much, and I will let you know whether it's the time zone or the Saxonia moon phase or the Langewan moon phase. Usually it says price on request, but I have a price list that's
Yeah, that's an interesting part. The
accurate.
Lange hide all their price on their website, right? Somehow.
Yeah, more recently, most everything
Hmm.
is gone. Um,
Do they want to
so
be more exclusive? Do they want to make the people come to their boutique?
I think
Yeah.
so. I think they want people to come to the boutique. That's usually
Hmm.
the reason. And you know,
I'm sorry. I
of
have to
course,
answer the question.
go ahead, of course. Um, so let's see. I'm pulling up the price list, and I think it was updated, but I'm gonna kind of give you the ballpark figure. So yeah, that one is in pink and white gold. The time zone Lange one is around $57,500, and in yellow gold it's 60,000 plus. So all right, so much small-mindedness and petty hatreds in this world that it's just it's not going away. It's so miserable that these people are not only the part of the community but are also um, taking a huge part where they should be actually taken out of the community. It's really sickening. Hey, I'm not tired of kicking you out, but I'll repeat this one more time. I know who you are. I know where you are in the world. So let me repeat this one more time. I'm gonna come to the East Coast by the end of the year, and I might just pay a little visit. So I would highly recommend that you tone it down, that you calm it down. Speaking of lessons, I can teach you a few things. So don't mess with this channel. Stop messing with this channel because you are going to regret it. You're already going to regret it, but don't let me up the ante because you don't know who you are messing with. Seriously. Let's just leave it at that. You don't get to come here and insult people that I value as members of the community. Take that back to your channel, which is a platform for bigotry, hatred, and base entertainment. Take it back there and let it rot in your cave. This is a platform for civilized discussion on wristwatches, not this sort of nonsense bigotry that some other people allow and perpetuate on their channels. So go fuck off to where you came from. All right. Yeah, speaking of Tudor Pelagos earlier with the Greek president especially, I also dug up this little shot of David Beckham in a wetsuit and wearing the Pelagos blue over the sleeve of that wetsuit. And apparently this was something he did with Tudor in 2019, where he teamed up with, pardon me, with a French free diver, actually. And they basically dared to dive together for the first time in Beckham's life. He did some free diving, and he had his Tudor Pelagos to accompany him. And I know it's a marketing ploy at the end, but I think it's pretty cool that Tudor is genuinely trying to cultivate this notion of utility and adventure around their brand. And I've remarked this time and again, that Tudor is at once, in a way, the heritage arm of Rolex, where they get to interpret a lot of iconic models and designs from the Rolex and Tudor shared heritage and produce them in the form of modern tool watches. But they're also, in a way, the experimental arm of Rolex, insofar as they experiment with different materials, do the kinds of things that Rolex doesn't really mess with their own models in their own lineup. Like, Rolex never had a titanium watch in regular production. Rolex never had a bronze or silver watch in recent production in this industrial era. And also, they just the whole Tudor Pelagos. Speaking of Tudor Pelagos, the Pelagos LHD was in fact the experiment, the path that led to the Destro GMT, that GMT that was supposed to be worn on the right hand, that just came out in Watches and Wonders this year. So a lot of what Tudor does actually ends up somehow making an appearance in the Rolex lineup. And I think that's really exciting. I'm not sure if we will see any silver, bronze, or even titanium watches in the Rolex lineup anytime soon. But since Tudor had that ceramic Black Bay, it might just appear in some shape or form in the Rolex catalog. I feel like you might see in the next few years a ceramic Rolex watch, probably not an entire product family, but I think that might be an interesting way to infuse some new energy into the Submariner lineup, perhaps. I don't know. That will be an interesting experiment to carry over. I'm very happy, by the way, that Crunchy is winning the poll as your choice of peanut butter. It is also mine, and I don't negotiate about this, so I'm glad most of the audience agrees. It does matter. Speaking of which, guys, if you haven't done so yet, please hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, this is your chance to do so. I'm here with watch content on a daily basis in the form of these live streams, but I provide so much more, and I'm sure you will realize it very quickly if you go through some of the playlists that I prepared for you. That being said, the best thing you can do for this channel is just spreading the word, telling all your friends. If you bring one more person into the community, you'll get me that much closer to 1,000 subscribers, which is my first goal. And that's the again, for a small channel like this, every single person makes a huge difference. And you know how much I care for this community. You know how much I take my cue from the community, how I respond to your questions, how I basically engage with the chat all the time. So if you want to bring up something now, feel free to do that in the chat. Certainly, it is what I pride myself on. This is a free platform. This is an independent platform, autonomous platform, self-consistent, and it's really on you to keep it that way, because at the end of the day, I am trying to get the channel monetized, to get something in return of my investment in time, efforts, and work. But until then, if you feel it's right, if you feel so generous, you can already contribute through PayPal, and that's connected to my primary point of contact, lordhellespontv@gmail.com, lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I have a Cash App, $LHVVV, $LHVVV. And I've also just opened a Patreon account with the explicit purpose of increasing the quality and quantity of content on this channel. So any contribution you make there is going directly into the channel, as everything you do in PayPal and Cash App as well. And my immediate goal for that is to have 2 additional live streams per week that are earlier in the day, so I can reach more people in the UK, more people in the continental Europe, more people on even the East Coast and other parts of North America, for whom this show is either too late or too early. So if you could help me in some way by clicking any of these links or following the information that is presented to you in the crawling ticker and in the video description, I would be very much grateful. But in either case, thank you for your support and presence. Thank you for being here. And thank you for helping me generate this kind of content by simply being there and simply asking questions, intervening, interjecting from the chat, and once every so often jumping on the panel as well. And this is a reminder again that the panel is completely open to everyone. So even if you have never been involved on the platform before, or simply you have only appeared in the chat, don't feel excluded. You can always jump on. Pauli, good night, man. It's lovely to see you as always. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting the channel. Guys, I need to actually take a short break and get a quick drink. So I'll leave you for a second with this nice shot of Zenith Daytona, worn by none other than Lamborghini and Bugatti CEO Stefan Winkelmann. And you have a little cheat sheet there, but maybe someone can tell me what the significance of this particular watch is, what makes this Daytona more special among other 5-digit Daytonas, Rolex Daytonas that were powered by the Zenith El Primero caliber 400 or caliber 4030 in the Rolex terminology. I'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. I was wondering if I would get any guesses about what makes the watch on the screen currently, the Daytona on the screen, so special. So far, nothing specific, but I think let me start with this. I've already said this is 16520 Rolex Daytona from the years between 1988 to 2000, before Rolex introduced its in-house caliber 4130. The automatic movement, the self-winding caliber in the Rolex Daytona was based on the Zenith El Primero 400. This is the one with the black dial, and it turns out that as is the case with a lot of different material that Rolex used, this particular dial, which had the outer rings of those 3 chronograph registers in white, turned quite quickly into this very light shade of brown. So it has a very unique patina. This is a particular mark of that dial, Mark 4, black dial, that is also called the Patrizzi dial. They're called Patrizzi after Osvaldo Patrizzi, of course, whose legacy for watch collection is immense, since his founding of Antiquorum in Geneva, 1974, in partnership with the late Gabriel Tortella, was vital to the contemporary recognition of wristwatches as artful and collectible pieces that have their rightful place in the auction circuit. So when Osvaldo Patrizi's own collection was put up for auction in 2006, a similar piece with a Daytona 16520 with the black dial, those lightly browned outer rings on the chronograph register, was sold for almost twice as much as the going rate of a Rolex Daytona from the same era. Since then, collectors call these 16520s with that particular mark of the black dial a Patrizi or a Daytona with the Patrizi dial. So I thought, again, it was very nice to recognize it um, on his wrist, because of all the different watches that he can certainly get, he chose something that really requires this kind of attention and knowledge. Um, so clearly, he's a watch guy. Whatever else he wears, it shows that he pays some attention to it. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So tomorrow, I actually am meeting up with one of the members of our community, Mr. Breitling Collector, that you will also know as Racing R from the chats. And we are going to be hitting up some watch boutiques. So Breitling is certainly on the table, but I think we're also going to pay a visit to Tudor. We are probably also going to see some other um, spots. I think there is there's a Rolex AD for sure. I think there are a couple others. There used to be. Let me see where we go. There's a few. In, around that place where we. So Breitling is there. We're certainly going to go there. And of course, there's no pressure, but I know that actually Racing R has a couple of watches in mind, and one watch in mind that he might think of picking up in Breitling. So there's that. And it's certainly not the new Super Ocean. I can tell you that much. And yeah, the Tudor Boutique should be interesting. They have basically each and every piece, even if they can't deliver it to you immediately. I think they have, at least on exhibition, all of the pieces, all the examples. So, and they were actually able to deliver that Tudor Black Bay Pro you have seen that Alex just very kindly shared with us earlier in the show, that they delivered in a matter of 2 days, basically. So it makes a difference. And as you know, those boutiques, there are only 3 of them in the US. I'm not even sure if they exist in other parts of the world just yet. I'm not sure if there's I'm not sure if there's a Tudor Boutique in Europe just yet. Maybe there can be parts of the world. So let me check on that. But anyway, I think it's cool that they are nowadays really expanding their offerings through boutiques where they have the whole experience for the brand and all the models, and they actually had a very nice setup that displays Tudor's own heritage. And honestly, I look forward to seeing the new Ranger in person as well. I didn't have the chance to do that so far. Yeah, let's. Tudor Boutiques. Oh, OG baby girl is here. Hey, lovely to see you here, baby girl. Thank you for being here, and thanks for also picking crunchy peanut butter. Thank you. Yeah, that's my jam. No pun intended, but that is my jam indeed. Um, so let's see what they have. I think they literally just have the three in the US. Yeah. And then they have one in London, which is run by Watches of Switzerland. Um, one in Sheffield, Beverbrooks. One in UAE, United Arab Emirates. Well, two in Abu Dhabi, basically. One in Dubai. One in Thailand. Two in Bangkok, in fact. Taiwan. So you have a lot in Asia, basically. South Korea, Singapore, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Philippines, Malaysia, mainland China, many in China, in fact. Nice. Macau, Kuwait, Japan, so in Osaka, Hiroshima, Tokyo Ginza, in Rome, you have one. So in Europe too, you have one. Hong Kong, you have a few, several, in fact. Okay. And they have one in Canada as well. France. Very cool. Yeah, I think this is really the next step for Tudor as a brand. You know, there's nothing wrong, of course, with being associated with Rolex, because ultimately that's where that heritage comes from. That's the two brands are interconnected. They are siblings. They are sister brands. But more importantly, nowadays, it's crucial for Tudor to establish its own brand identity, carve out its own niche, um, focus on really diversifying their lineup beyond the Black Bay series, which, we have actually broken down that question on this channel a number of times. The Black Bay in and of itself just refers to the case, right? So it's just like, pardon me, every Rolex model being an oyster, more or less, except for the Cellini at this point in time. So that's what really it means. And I know Black Bay 58 takes kind of a disproportionate amount of space, perhaps, in the lineup, you might say. But in the recent years, since they have introduced their GMT, since they have introduced their Chronos, since they have now come up with the Black Bay Pro, and with um, with the with all these different models they have been churning out in the last few years, it's I think they have heard the call. I think they have nowadays really made a point of making watches that don't just harp on that vintage inspired diver watch aesthetic. I think they are stepping out of that comfort zone increasingly, even though there's nothing wrong, if you ask me, in their effort to just lean on their own strengths. And thank you, Alex, for being here, and thank you again for sharing your very special unboxing with us. Alex was on earlier, unboxing his Omega Speedmaster CK 2889, um, which is a beautiful piece, a limited edition of the Magic. It was an account created today, so I'm just blocking him because it's basically the same troll. It's just, I have to break this down, guys. I think just for your benefit too. It's such a low intelligence individual, this particular troll. He thought that he could appease me because I'm Jewish, right? I will see a Jewish name in the chat and think that's my ally. That's what he thinks, because he's a racist, right? The guy is a racist. He thinks racially. So he thinks if if he can trick me into thinking that he belongs to my race, that's I would be nice to him, right? Then the first thing he says is I like crunchy peanut butter because, right, I have the mind of a child, right? If he likes the same thing as I do, in addition to that, I must love this guy. So then he starts sneaking in these comments about nonsense, right? So it's really funny. It's really funny. Again, these guys just don't know who they're playing with. I'm completely at a different level. So don't don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. You're not even close. But SV Tang puts it the right way. He's just giving me ratings. Hey, do thumbs up, thumbs down, engage, subscribe, unsubscribe. It really doesn't matter. We're building a community here that is inclusive, that is built around knowledge, passion, uh, collaboration, mutual support, right? And it's a kind of friendship. It's a kind of really amity that goes way beyond the bounds of this channel and YouTube, and way beyond just horology, right? We start with wristwatches, but we talk about so much more on this channel. We get together around so many of very simple core values, and the kind of bigotry that you keep propagating and trying to bring up to this channel, it's making us only stronger, right? Especially since we are dealing with people like you who are just not capable of interacting at this level of barely average IQ. You are much below that, and that's really sad. But we got the joke already. We have laughed at you enough. um, unless, of course, you are the sort of individual who enjoys being publicly shamed, and there's a four-letter word for that, in which case keep coming back and I'll slap you around each time. And it's great fun for me. But once again, I will not let you insult anyone who comes to this channel, whether just for the chat or on the panel. That's something I will never let you do, whether it's a personal attack or racial or bigoted attack that you were taking, misogynistic, homophobic. None of that will be tolerated. Take that to other channels where it is actually welcomed and given place and platformed. This is not the place for that. Alex says, if you want to be trolling, be smart, humorous, and creative like Dirk Diggler. Yeah, Dirk is also on another level. So it's hard to be simply like Dirk Diggler. Not everyone can be like Dirk Diggler. Hmm. Mitchell, how are you doing, man? MP, welcome to the channel. Nice to see you as always. Yes, speaking of which, so I'm pretty excited that I get to meet another member of the audience, Racing R / Mr. Brightening Collector. I am gonna take my tripod, my new tripod, and of course my iPhone, and maybe we'll film a few things. Maybe we'll do a short live stream while we are having a cup of coffee and grabbing a little bite. Just talk about watches and talk specifically about his watches and his Breitling collection. So maybe we can do that. But in either case, I'm just excited to meet another collector, someone from whom I learned a lot from already, and I think that will continue. And it's always nice when you know you have someone who is just as invested in watches as you are emotionally, but who has a little bit of a different taste, right? There's always something you can learn from that kind of person. There's always something you can gain from that kind of um, interaction. And I'm looking forward to meeting Racing Art tomorrow, going into the Breitling boutique with him, and having a little bit of a chat. Oh, super pitchy. Hey, lovely to see you, man. It's great to see you here. Super Pitchy says, thinking of getting Santos Dumont on the leather strap for a dress piece. Thoughts? Are you thinking of a specific piece? I know for a while when Alex was on the market for a dress watch, he was aiming at this pink gold limited edition that looked just stunning. But any Santos Dumont on uh, on the on leather strap, I think looks just great. I think that's a beautiful aesthetic for a dress watch. For me, honestly, Santos um, in both models has an aesthetic that is um, that straddles, you know, sports and dress watch genres uh, quite well together. But on on the leather, the Santos Dumont especially, I think is really nice. I'll try to see if I can also specify. Think. Are you looking for a precious metal piece, super pitchy, or um, or a steel one? Because and what kind of movement is going to be in it? Are you looking for something with a quartz caliber or a hand wound movement? Ah, that's great. WSSA 030. So it's the extra large hand wound steel. Yeah, I mean that strap goes really well with it too. That's usually that's the similar color of strap that I use for my reverso because it has the heat blued hands. I think this is a great accent. You know, even a shade lighter could be great too, but this makes it a little more sober, a little more appropriate for the dress context. Um, of course, it could sit just as well on a black strap as well. I've always loved, by the way, the Cartier tang buckles. I think that's aesthetically that's a nice one. And as you can see, the straps have open lips anyway. So if you just want to quickly change them, it's very easy to take care of that when leather straps have that open lip configuration in the back. And I think it's look, I mean, one of the reasons that Santos is selling so well is because because it's at a reasonable price point, right? Especially in steel. And for one, I like steel dress watches. So I don't think a dress watch has to be in precious metal. I think it's about the style, it's about the elegance of it. Um, it's about either its simplicity or its complexity. You know, either something like this that has just two hands, maybe seconds on the sub dial, or like a prestige complication, like a hand-wound chronograph, very slim and beautifully executed, or like a perpetual calendar, you know, very exquisite. Baby girl Dirk was um, on this channel before. He he was here for hours on end. In fact, the last time he was on, so it's great. Santos, you know, for me, um, it's a hit. It's a hit. I would. I actually like Santos Dumont to. I prefer it to the Santos on the full steel bracelet. Honestly, um, I like the dress watch aesthetic of the Santos a little better than the sports watch aesthetic of it. At this price range, you know, it can hardly be beat at retail at this level. Um, but in the secondary market, and that's what I went for anyways earlier this year. Pardon me, when I was looking for my reverso, I went for a reverso Grand 8, and I paid basically what you would pay for this watch when the tax is figured in. And I'm extremely happy with that purchase because the Reverso Grand 8 is a very special watch. It was only produced for 1 decade and not in really a lot of great numbers. And it's gone from the lineup for a long time now, and I don't think it's going to come back with that 8-day power reserve hand wand movement um, with all the beautiful asymmetric dial layout of it and everything. So, but yeah, I like this watch, and I would recommend it if you're getting it through an authorized dealer. Try to negotiate a deal. You know, try to either get a discount or if that is a dealer that deals in other watches that retails, say Rolex, where you are eyeing a piece that is relatively hard to get, try to see if you can bundle it with something, or if you can use this deal to open the way for you to get um, a more desirable Rolex watch, right? Because not everyone goes to pick up um, a Santos Dumont in steel as a dress watch from their authorized dealer. So you're helping them help you. So let them help you also, perhaps by opening you the way of getting another piece. The cutest pink Tudor. I don't know. Give me a hint, baby girl. If you can find a model number, um, or at least the model line where I can search a few things, it would be You'll be great. Papi Chulo troll. Yeah. But Dirk is great. Dirk actually on this channel, he's on his best behavior for one reason or another. Well, I mean, the reason is actually very simple because he's supportive, right? He for whatever reason he likes me and he wants to support this channel, so he's being nice. Um, but that being said, of course, I enjoy him, whenever he is around, whether he's trolling or simply being friendly. Um, it's always great. It's always great. And I know he probably has to get up early tomorrow, so he's gone for the day. But we're here for another 15 minutes, guys. So if you have been enjoying the show and learning from it, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm here every day with watch content in the form of these live streams, of course, but also much more than that. So if you subscribe, you will see all these different kinds of videos, on watches and style, on the particular aesthetic or offerings of certain brands. Uh, Rolex is there, of course, but we talk a lot about Gégé Lecoutre, Alain Gonzone, Tudor, Cartier, Vacheron Constantin. You'll see that I have all these videos where I try to find you sleeper deals, um, on certain watches that seem to have fallen under the radar for some, and therefore seem to be trending for very very low. Let's guys, please keep the voice down so the troll doesn't wake up in the chat. He asked how to donate. Let's see if he will click one of the links, and let's see if he's not too broke so he can actually make some sort of contribution beyond his miserable little existence on this world. Um, so miserable and little, and so entirely dysfunctional that he had to take up that particular name for himself. Like, keep the voice down so he doesn't wake up. Yeah, let's whisper for a little bit. Um, so if you would like to subscribe, you will see all this content on basically anything from Seiko to Rolex, from Alain Gonzone to Patek Philippe to Vacheron Constantin to Tudor to Breguet, all of it. More importantly, if you want to help this channel, the best thing you can do is just tell your friends. Tell one person, and for a channel of this size, of this um, level, when I'm still trying to reach to 1,000 subscribers, every single person matters, and it makes a difference. And how much I care about the community here, and how much I care about every single person in the chat, um, answering their questions, taking their directions, and trying to help them whenever they need something watch related. And of course, I'm always open to you. If you want to contact me directly, you can write to me at lordhellespontv@gmail.com. And I understand, I answer to everything there directly, but you can slide to my DMs on Instagram as well. Please follow my Instagram account while we're at it. In either case, again, spread the word, share the link, tell your friends, and help me reach 1,000 subscribers so I can actually get monetized. And that's important because I do want to get some return um, in terms of the time, effort, and work I put into this channel. In the meantime, of course, if you do want to contribute already before the channel gets monetized, there are a few ways where you can do that. You can send me a contribution on PayPal. That's that's connected to lordhellespontv@gmail.com, lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I have a Cash App, $LHVVV, $LHVVV. And I also have just started a Patreon account with the explicit purpose of having 2 additional live streams per week earlier in the day, so I can actually broadcast at a time where it's not too early for people in the UK and in continental Europe, and not too late for some parts of the US, whether we are talking about the Midwest or the East Coast. So if you can help me raise enough contributions on Patreon, that's my goal for next month, starting August. Super Pitchy, you're always welcome. I hope you get the watch you want, but that looks pretty cool. I think Santos in steel on a leather band is a superb dress watch. This is a wonderful combination. I think it really brings that little bit of the sportiness out of the watch as well. That combination of the dark blue strap and the heat blued hands, but yeah, on a black crocodile strap like that, I think this watch is a perfect dress watch. And again, I honestly do love steel dress watches. So there's nothing wrong with a steel dress watch. I don't think dress watches have to be necessarily in precious metal. All right, I think I found what OG Baby Girl was talking about. It's a Tudor chrono called Grand Tour or Grand Tour in fuchsia. Lovely pink rubber strap there. Has these zirconium, I think, around the tachometer and on the lugs as well. And like a slightly darker shade of that pink on the dial, along with the red Tudor shield. It looks like a very fun watch, honestly. I had never seen it before. I don't know when they produced this watch, but I kind of love that strap. I wonder why they don't produce more watches on rubber bands like this. Because I think it really does go well with the chrono. I can certainly see a black version of this on their Panda, for example, on their version of the Panda. That would be great. And SV Tang says, that is definitely a watch suitable for a baby girl. Yeah, well, I agree. I think it's a cute watch, honestly. I'm not sure if it's actually diamonds. It might even somehow justify that price. But it's hard to tell, of course, from just these pictures which seem to be pictures of the actual watch, but not the best quality where you can actually discern. Because at the end of the day, I know Rolex for a fact really is very picky when it comes to their diamond selection. Um, I don't know what kind of standard Tudor has and whether those, really unreasonably high standards of Rolex are kept at this level as well. But this is a cool piece. I wonder what kind of movement is in it. Let me see. Yeah, it is. It is a diamond bezel and diamond lugs. Interesting. Interesting. So let's see this Tudor Contour caliber. Okay, it is. It is basically um, an ETA-based movement. So the previous generation. Yeah, it's a Valjoux 7753. So, an entirely respectable movement. I think it's really the diamonds that put up the price a little bit. But if I saw something like this under, 3,000 or even maybe around 35, it could be an interesting piece to pick up for the right person, if you actually like it. I think this is, yeah, it should be Valjoux. And just want to make sure what movement is exactly in it. By the way, they have apparently they had an entire line of these. Look at that. Oop. Um, they had it in the hype color of the season. They had one with a white rubber band rather than pink, white with a white face, orange, purple. I don't know why I've never seen these before. It's very interesting. I've never seen this Grand Tour series. Very funny. But yeah, thank you for bringing up this particular watch. Hey, all right. So speaking of which, so to close, I'm gonna bring up, since we looked quite a bit at Blancpain, which is one of the flagship brands in the Swatch group. I think it's only right that we close with Breguet, which is supposed to be their prestige brand in the group, right? Since they have, of course, Longines, they have Tissot, they have Omega, they have Swatch, they have Blancpain, they have Breguet, among other brands, Certina, of course. I've always loved these particular ones, especially in white gold with the blue dial. I just love the fact that there are all these different variants of the guilloche on the dial. Right? You have one particular kind of engine turning for the power reserve space, one for the date on the subdial, and yet another for the center of the dial. And it's really amazing work. And I do love, as much as I said, I do love the kind of happy face, moon face on the moon phase complication. I think I also quite adore on this particular piece the realism in the work they have done right here. So that's quite nice, and especially all these little elements of Breguet coming together in this watch. The hands, the different levels and layers of hand guilloche work on the dial, the asymmetry, that's really actually quite Breguet's signature in and of itself, and that's of course that aesthetics of what essentially looks like a pocket watch turned into a wristwatch, transformed into something to be worn on the wrist, with those extended lugs. And of course, on all around the case, you have that fluting that's especially distinct on the flanks. People always call it coin edge as well, which is just an element of Breguet that I see if we can find any side shots of. And yeah, baby girl says the Grand Tour could be that pink Tudor chronograph could be a nice summer watch, and I completely agree. Look at this angle, you can see everything that goes into this case. I think it's quite stunning. Yeah, there's something to be said about the Breguet dress watch that's hard to compare to anything else. The tradition, of course, is quite cool as well, in the sense that it embodies this retrofuturistic steampunk, if you will, aesthetic. And even for someone who, like me, who doesn't really like skeletonized dials, they have come up with a way of exposing the inner workings of the movement that is very uniquely theirs. And of course, this is also a nice little complication, so to speak, where you have retrograde seconds, right? When this counts all the way up to 60 and then drops right back to 0. which I think is quite neat. And this is a cool piece as well. Now I'm a little confused because JJ says he's changing around his collection. So I don't know if he still has this piece as well, but I know he had 7097. I hope he kept it. I think it was very unique and beautiful watch. But even if he hasn't, I think this, I'm glad someone in the community who had that visibility had at least owned this watch for quite some time. Because again, I just don't think Breguet gets the shine that it deserves. All right, guys, and again, it's lovely to see you all. Lovely to be with you. Thank you for your support and presence. If you haven't done so yet, please please hit the like button. Please upvote on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll be back again for the late show tomorrow. In the meantime, I will be able to hopefully drop some new content. So please stay tuned. Tell your friends, spread the word, share the link with others. It really helps me get so much closer to 1,000 subscribers. And you know, if until then you want to contribute, you want to support the channel, you know how. The links are there. The information is in the crawling ticker. It is included in the video description. So anything and everything is welcome as a contribution, but just you being there, supporting me, contributing to the conversation, generating really as the real owners of this channel, the direction of the content with your questions, with your requests, with your suggestions. So keep in touch. Write to me on Instagram. Write me an email. But ultimately, let's try to expand this community. And I'll be back with you with more content tomorrow. Until then, until next time, friends, I bid you adieu. Goodbye.